Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks, and it is a brand new episode of Who's That Cosplayer? And joining me today is somebody that is really awesome, and I say that they are awesome because I did a JoJo collab back in February for Black History Month, and they were a part of that JoJo collab of all Black JoJo cosplayers, and that is Violetblossomcos. Violet, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm really good. I'm nervous but like excited, sort of starstruck. Just a whole mixed bag of like, yeah. But I'm so happy and grateful and like kind of honored to be here because literally I've only started like cosplaying seriously around last year. So to like, for some people this may not be big, but like for me to like be where I am, like, and I've made so many friends like in the UK and across the seas. It's insane to me. So I'm just like really happy to be here.
Hey, that makes me feel really good. And, just for you to say that, this may not be big for some people, or not some people, but it may not be a big deal, but it's big to you. That really touches my heart. So thank you very much. And thank you so much for joining me. So before we get into today's interview, everybody that's watching, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Level Benjamin Banks. And as D always says, podcast link down below in the description. Like, follow, subscribe. So let's go ahead and get into today's interview. First thing right off the bat, I just want to say thank you again for joining me all the way from the UK. I feel like this year, Who's That Cosplayer has gone international. I've interviewed people from all over the world. So thank you so much for joining me. And now, going into the first question that I ask each and every guest up here is, what is your origin story? Every hero or villain has one. So tell everybody who you
are. So I'll start with how I got into cosplay. So it was in college in the UK. So in the UK so it's college for me in the UK. If you didn't know, I'm British. So but in African Americans it would be called high school. So I joined college around 16, left at 18. But this was like the first time I made friends that had the same interests as me. Like from secondary school, I never had friends that were really, aside from like 3 or 4, but like aside from none of them were in my year. So it was the first time having people my age who were into like anime games. So I did game design and it was just called game design in college. And so I was finally with people who had the same interests as me. And I had a friend called Suya. He was a trans guy, and he got me into cosplaying. Like he was cosplaying himself, and he was like, "Yeah, I cosplay. Like you should totally like do it." And I was like, I don't know. It was just a whole new world to me. I was kind of like, I don't know. So my first actual ever cosplay was, if you played Splatoon 2, Marina.
No,
that was my first ever cosplay.
I've never played Splatoon, but if you tell me what the character looks like, then I'm probably going to know who the character is.
No worries. So like I was excited because like I started to see representation in the media. It's gotten better. There's a lot more that needs to be done, but it was like representation of like Black people in the media was starting to like pick up. So is a dark skinned octopus girl, and she like hosts Splatoon 2 with her, I think are they cousins or they're just friends with her, with a squid sister called Pearl. But yeah, I saw her and I immediately was like, I want to do her. And not gonna lie, the cosplay was absolutely busted. It was not that good. Like looking back, like one day I really want to redo her. Not gonna lie, I want to do her justice. But yeah, just like I wore a wig and like I didn't know much about synthetic wigs. I didn't know you couldn't, because she has ombre hair. It's like black to blue, teal, and like I tried to dye the top of the wig with like pen ink because apparently normal dye won't work, and I nearly like suffocated in the bathroom with my friend because the toxins are really getting to us. But like it was fun memories. Like I had so much fun. Like my friend I gave my friend money to buy foam to like make her little, because she's like half human, half octopus. Like, have you ever played Splatoon at all? Know about it a little bit?
I've never played it, but I've seen gameplay of it though.
Okay, no worries. So like it's basically like the whole thing is just about like gaining turf by spraying ink, and all the characters are like half humanoid, so they're like human but they can transform into squids. But in the second game they emphasized on octolings, which like were half human but can turn into octopi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know there's a third game. I've not played it yet, but yeah. Long story short, I can ramble on. By the way, so like if you need to cut me short, let me
No,
know.
no,
I'm
you're
such a
fine.
talkative person.
You are fine.
Um,
I love the rambles and I love the snowballs. You're completely fine.
Perfect. That's so perfect. So like yeah, I could go on and on, but like that was my first ever cosplay. It was a bit busted. Like she has like black octoling eyes, like octopus
Yeah.
eyes, kind of like a mask. But the way we did the makeup, because I didn't know how to do makeup at the time. I didn't own makeup prior to that. I only got to really start getting makeup until last year. But yeah, it kind of like I had black eyes, like literal black, like someone punched me in the eye, rather than like a whole mask thing just kind
Yeah,
of got
yeah,
going on. Yeah, it was just not the vibe. But like I had so much fun because like even though my cosplay was like absolutely busted, and also I learned my lesson about wearing high heels at a con that day. It was just
You
yeah,
should
this was
never
just not
do it.
it.
Oh my God.
No,
The
never
horror
do it.
stories that I hear, man. You know, I know that you say that your first cosplay was busted and that you want to do it now because like you've done so many more cosplays, but I feel like every cosplayer, they have to have that humbling beginning.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, because like my first cosplay, I was Big Smoke from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. It was just a pretty simple cosplay, but I feel like, you know, your first cosplay should always be something that is pretty simple. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully you do get to do that cosplay again and you level it up. You know, I mean, it's all experience
Yeah.
points. You've done all these cosplays now and you've gained experience by doing it. And, you know, first off, too, I want to say as well, I didn't know that it was called college over in the UK. And, you know, of course, over here in America, it's high school. So, like, that's something that I just learned today. So, something I wanted to piggyback off of what you said was the representation that you see in media when it comes to, you know, video game characters. We've started seeing it in more anime, and we've also started seeing it in comics and stuff. But, you know, I want to ask you now, like, how is it over in the UK, like when, you know, in the cosplay scene over there? Because I know that I've seen you make posts before about like the representation over in the UK. And you've even told me yourself, like, you know, being a Black cosplayer, how it can be very difficult over there in the UK. So like, let's talk about that for a bit.
Okay, so like you mentioned about representation, I just feel like in the media growing up as a big nerd. So my two brothers were into anime and games. That's how I got into it. I did not see any Black characters in anything. And like people who want to say representation doesn't matter, they're just usually they're the type of people who are used to seeing themselves in media all the time. So like for me, growing up, I didn't see anyone like me, and that was, I wouldn't say it affected me negatively, but it didn't affect me positively either. It was just like when it came to like I remember once. So this was I was in secondary school, maybe 2015. No. Yeah, around I was like, it was year 10 of secondary school, basically. And that was the only time where, like I said, I only had 4 friends in secondary school that were into the same stuff I was. 2 were in the year above me, 2 in the year below me. I remember they were mentioning about conventions, and I was like, oh, if I was to cosplay, I would cosplay Itachi, because at the time, I was like a big Naruto fan. Like that, Naruto was like the first anime I've ever watched, and like I just loved the character Itachi. And at the time, they said you can't cosplay Itachi because you're not Black. Like, and I mean, he's not Black, but I know it was from a place of ignorance. Like we were all young, they didn't get it, and I was like, oh, and that's the first time when it clicked to me. Like, wait, like if I wanted to cosplay, none of these characters actually look like me. And like in the media, it's just like you don't ever see Black characters, like Black, whether it be Black male or female characters, whatever. Like you don't see them, and if you do see them, they're just in a negative light, or like they're just not thought out well. Like, you know, when you see a character that's just not designed well, whether it's not designed well or the plot, the storyline doesn't make sense. Because for me, the biggest thing that gets me into any game, any anime, any manga is just character design and the story behind them. Like that's like my biggest, even if the gameplay is rubbish, like if a story is good, I'll pay attention to it. And like for me, it was just like Black characters were always like the side character, or they went for it. Well, if it was like a Black guy, like I'm trying to think of, for example, like maybe Final Fantasy 7, I forgot his name.
Barrett.
Yeah, like I don't know, they're just very one note compared to like the other characters in the cast, if that makes sense. Or you just straight up wouldn't see representation. So um that's the whole media side of representation. But going back to the cosplay community in the UK, obviously the cosplay community is way more smaller than America.
Yeah.
I will say that the plus side is kind of everyone kind of knows each other because it's a very small community, if that makes sense. Like even the big cosplayers, like you see someone in a con and you think that's a random person, but they got like 60k followers on Instagram or 90k followers, you know. But like the dancer is like all the bigger cosplayers. That's the one thing I actually noticed when I started the cosplay community like last year, because I just started and started following all the big cosplayers because they inspired me. Yeah. And all of them were skinny and white. And you might wonder why I mentioned skinny. It's also just the body type representation too. I'm not plus size, but I'm not skinny and flat chested either. So it's like, yeah. And growing up, I kind of had insecurities about my appearance regarding my skin color, my race, my appearance. So like towards the end of last year, I started getting these insecurities back because I'm like, wow, to be a big cosplayer, you're gonna have to look like them, and I don't look like them. Yeah. But then that's when I said, you know, I'm actually gonna restart. I was talking to a friend, and they said they only follow cosplayers who they one know or two they kind of look up to, if that makes sense. And I was like, you know, I'm gonna do that as well. So I kind of started unfollowing all those big creators and started following cosplayers that looked like me and like that actually I liked, rather than I wasn't looking at following anymore. I was just looking at people that inspire me. You came up, Chris Rowe, just really so many cosplayers. I'm trying to think of others from the top of my head. Crystal, but her name on Instagram is Lou. I don't know how to pronounce it. Is Louxxei. Lots of Snickerdoodle Chan. Like so many like black cool cosplayers started coming up, and I was like, you can like cosplay and like, you know what I mean, not like be and look really good. Like
you can be different. I 100% agree with you on that, and it's like that's the reason why I had did JoJo's Bizarre Adventure collab for Black History Month, because it's like, you know, I had been cosplaying since 2018, but I didn't really start getting into cosplay seriously until the pandemic, like a lot of people. And it's like whenever I would see collaborations, like I would either never see Black JoJo cosplayers, or if I did, like I would probably only see like one or two. And I'm just like, well, I'm a Black JoJo cosplayer, and I see so many other Black JoJo cosplayers like yourself, and I'm just like, yo, I want to do a collab where it's, you know, just showcasing other Black talented cosplayers. And, you know, so many people who were a part of that collab, like they were like, I've never even been invited to a collab before. You know, this is a first for me. And, you know, that made me so happy, and it warmed my heart that like I was able to, you know, showcase so many talented people and give them a platform. That's the reason why I do Who's That Cosplayer. That's the reason why I share people's stuff in my stories and whatnot, because there's so many talented people out there. And to piggyback off of what you were saying about how, you know, some people only follow the big cosplayers or they follow people that they know, it's like you miss out on so many amazing talented people if you only just follow the trends. You know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate you saying that about me, because it's just like, you know, when it comes to JoJo, like I still consider myself a small fry in the JoJo community, but it's like you'll be surprised, like people who know you, like there's times where I've gone to conventions and like somebody's like, oh, I've seen your JoJo stuff on TikTok, and I'm just like, thanks, I appreciate that, you know. So it's so crazy to, you know, hear you say all that stuff. But I mean, like, you know, as a Black cosplayer, like that's just something that, you know, we deal with, unfortunately. And you know, I feel like as long as we keep on just putting the spotlight on, you know, other talented Black cosplayers, more people will be able to see them. So one thing I wanted to touch on, what I think is cool that you do for your cosplays, is that you use your natural hair for all of the cosplays that you do. I mean, even with, you know, you cosplaying as I was about to say Anasui, but it's not Anasui. I always mix both of their names up. But now I was about to say Anastasia. Oh my God. Oh my God, Abakio.
But this cosplay, Abakio,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. I don't. Look, first I was gonna say Anastasia, then I said Anastasia. That's the same guy. But no, Abakio. Like, I just love that you use your own hair for your cosplays. And I've interviewed somebody, the third Pharaoh. You can check out his interview up here on YouTube. But like, he's another person that uses his own dreads for all of the cosplays that he does. So I want to ask you now, like, why is it that you do that? Like, what was the thought that made you think that, hey, I just want to use my own hair for all my cosplays that I do?
Okay, so there's like a superficial, there's like a simple answer and there's a long answer. The simplest answer would be, honestly, I do not like wig styling. Just like the thought of buying wigs, like having to style them, just makes me just like you know what I mean? It just does not appeal to me. And like, cosplay is supposed to be a hobby. Like, I'm already a person, I struggle to do things if I'm not interested in it. So already getting someone that's a hobby, so it's not like I'm getting paid to do this, or like, and then having to do extra work like that just bores me to no end. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just not an interest of mine. And especially with JoJo cosplays, I will say most JoJo characters have unique hair. So it's not like other animes where it's like you can reuse that wig for something else that I've seen people do. With JoJo, for example, if you was to cosplay Bucciolati, you can't reuse his wig for anyone else but him because his hair is just so unique,
Yeah.
So I was just like, that's just not an interest to me. The longer answer would be, I kind of mentioned it beforehand, but growing up, I had a lot of insecurities regarding my appearance, my race, everything. And like, one of my insecurities wasn't the top of the list, was my hair. Like, just having my hair, it was always described as being bad or nappy or like tough, all those kind of things. And it's just like, I don't know. I kind of was like, and like I said, growing up, I rarely saw anyone who looked like me. And I was kind of like, you know what? When you're a black cosplayer, one thing you know is that, like, with other cosplayers, people like to say, you look so accurate. You are the real life insert character.
Yeah.
You never really hear that with black cosplayers unless the character's black, obviously. And I was just like, I don't really cosplay to kind of become no, I don't cosplay to look like exactly like the character, because that's just not my goal, and I find it boring. One thing I love about JoJo cosplays is that you can look at 10 different Abakus and they will all be different. They will all have different color schemes, different wig styles, different whatever. So that's kind of what I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna cosplay the character in a way that I'm like inserting myself in the character, if that makes sense. So like, that's why I cosplay with my braids. Like, one, it embraces my Black African heritage, and it just gives me the representation I never really got as a kid. And honestly, though it's like kind of taken over my life, because I'm like, okay, like, I'm gonna get purple braids, for example, for a Bacchio. Like, I'm going to MegaCon this weekend, and like, my lineup is James from Pokemon on Saturday. My friend's gonna do Jessie. My friend called, they changed that app, but I'll definitely shout them out because I've looked at your previous interviews. You like shout out. And I'm doing on Sunday a Bacchio and Bruno with my friend Mist Joestar on Instagram. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do purple hair for them because both of those characters have purple hair. You kind of have to plan your cosplays around your hair color, because I don't know, one thing, I don't like cosplaying characters that without matching my hair. I don't know, it's just a thing for me.
Yeah, but, I feel you.
Yeah, it's planning your cosplays around your hair color, but there's nothing more that I find more fun than kind of styling my braids for a character. And that was all because I would see other black creators, like you were mentioning, like how if you only follow big creators, you miss out on the creativity. I saw other black creators where either they'll get wigs that were like Afrocentric, and like, for example, Snickerdoodle Chan always does like cosplays of like Afrocentric. They did like a Mitsuri from Demon Slayer with like a wig that was like dreads that were colored like Mitsuri's hair, but like, I just find it so cool to style my braids into the characters I want to like cosplay. Like, for example, with Anasui, Fugo, with Maya from Ace Attorney, I managed to even do she has like a little bun under the top of her head with my braids, like, and yeah, like, it's way of embracing my African heritage, and I won't be ashamed of that. I'm actually quite proud of it.
Who's that cosplayer?
Marmar does cosplay.
I love that. And I love the answer that you gave. And, to piggyback off of what you were saying about how they get Afrocentric wigs, like that's something that I wish that I could find more of, because like there's times where I'm just like, do I want to, not wear a wig, or do I just want to use like my short hair? And I remember, what is her name? I'm mad I can't remember her name right now. She's from Chainsaw Man. Is it Himeno? And I was doing a gender swap version of her, and I had asked my friend, I was like, bro, like if I'm doing a gender swap version, I should just, use my natural hair. And, she has an eye patch, right? And he was just like, well, bro, I think you need to wear the wig, because without the wig, you look like Nick Fury. And I was just like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, man. So moving along, I want to ask you, because like you've done so many incredible cosplays. Give me your top 3 cosplays that you've done, and no specific.
I don't know. Okay, my top 3, you said. It's so annoying because I'm such a perfectionist. So like people be like, this cosplay is so good, and I'm like, I already have like 10 ways how I would improve it for next time. And it's like I said, I match my hair color to the cosplay. So like, I don't know when I would rotate and go back to that color. But my top 3 would be Anna Sui, because though the boots, oh my gosh, those boots messed up my feet. You know how we were talking about earlier, don't wear high heels to a con?
Yeah.
Like, they messed up my feet to the point where the skin was falling off my, trigger warning. The skin was falling off like both my pinky toes. It like completely wear down my feet. It was not good. It was really bad. Yeah. But honestly, I had so much fun with him. And who else would I? Top 3. Lisa. I had so much fun doing Lisa. I didn't even cosplay her to a con, actually. I just was like, I think did I reach 1K followers? No, that wasn't Lisa. But I was just so happy with the growth, and I was like, I really want to do her. I love her. She's so underrated. Like, I love a strong female character so much. And I was like, I grabbed my uni friend. I was like, I know a place. Let's go and do like a whole shoot. And like, I got so much love for my shoot. That was like the first post that like got 400 likes. Which it's not about numbers, but like, it is so nice when people can see or like appreciate the hard work you put into something. So yeah, I had so much fun with her. I want to there's a day I need to bring her to a con, but her heels, I kid you not, are the highest heels I own. They're like platforms with a heel, and
yeah,
I just know there's no walking. I'm not going to be doing any walking with her cosplay. I'm going to simply just stand there the whole con, because that place I went to do the shoot had tons of stairs, and there was a time I nearly tripped forward, and I was like, if I had fell forward, that would have been really bad. But yeah, Lisa's probably up there, and my last one would probably be Maya. I had a lot of fun with Maya, and I did not actually do her with her she has kind of like black hair, but that whole weekend I had pink hair, so I was like, you know what, she's gonna have to have pink hair, and it matched the dress, and I had so much fun. I got so many compliments, and like my friend Immune to the Stream, which one of my best friends in the whole world, I love them so much. He cosplayed Phoenix for me, so we did like a Phoenix Maya thing. Do you know Ace Attorney by any chance? Sometimes I go rambling on and I don't.
No, you're fine. Ace Attorney is another series that I know of, but I've never played. But I really want to play it though, because it looks like it's a fun game, and I know that they got an anime out too.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like very story centric. So like it's all about the stories and the character. That's what gets me. So like Phoenix is the lawyer with the blue suit and the black hair, and Maya, he has like a little psychic friend, is a girl with pink dress, and she has like the little bun. But yeah, those would be probably my top 3. Honestly, Maya, and Lisa.
Okay, all right, cool. And I think that's a awesome top 3 that you just listed, and especially with Lisa. I love Lisa. She's a strong woman, and it's crazy, but not until Jolene came around did we get another like strong woman in the series. And I don't know about you, but some people like to say that Star Platinum is Jonathan Joestar's ghost, but I like to say that Stone Free is Lisa's ghost because of the glasses. I don't know. That's just me. But
No, you know what? When you said Jonathan, it's just that, like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I associate Star Platinum a lot with Jotaro, and Jotaro's very aggressive, which is just not Jonathan, like, at all. But
exactly,
like,
I don't know. It's Jonathan.
but I can see Lisa being like
Right,
stone free. I
right,
can
because
see
of the
that. I can see
glasses and
that.
everything,
Mm.
and then with the strings and I could ramble on all night about this, but we are here at the end of the interview, right? And I have to ask you my favorite questions that I love asking JoJo cosplayers. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. So my first question is, which part is your favorite part?
It's between part 4 and 5. I just have people hate on part 4 because it's boring, I guess, compared
What?
to
Part four is my favorite. What are people hating on it for?
Speaking of part 5, I knew it was your favorite, and I know like that's why I love your Kira cosplay so much because I can tell how much you love him. I mean, Kira's my favorite villain, but my favorite part would probably have to be part 5. Just has a soft spot in my heart. Oh my gosh! I remember before the anime came out, it was not that popular, but like when the anime came out, people fell in love with it. Like,
Yeah.
and even I fell in love with it. I was like, damn, like it's the one part where I pretty much love almost every character. It's so good. It's got the right amount of like the bonds between the characters are like so significant. You know what I mean? Like the way you can see how Baku cares for Bruno. So when the deaths came along, it like, oh yeah, spoiler alert, but like it really. Baku's death, I still can't even joke about it. So
The donuts.
It gets to me. It gets to me so much. It gets to me so much. But it's such a good written part. Like, damn, like Diablo was really like a proper good villain. Like, even though like I have issues with like his motives and stuff, but yeah, part 5 I think is just so well written. It's just one of those parts where like every character, even in La Squadra, like I love them, and they're like side villains, but like you can tell that Araki really thought about every character and like the story, the background, and like all of that. It's just so so good.
The crazy thing about part 5 is that there really are no villains in part 5. Like everybody's just a gangster. That's all it is. It's just like that. Like nobody is a bad guy. Like everybody has their reasonings for doing what they are doing. Like even Diavolo, like he just wants to get rid of his daughter, so that way nobody can figure out who he is, because he just wants to stay in the shadows, just like Kira. So now I want to ask you, which villain is your favorite villain from the series?
My favorite villain would have to be Kira. Like,
hey, I love it.
Part 5 and 4 is my favorite parts, but Kira, you know what makes him different? I don't watch as much anime now as I did years ago, but like all the shows I've seen, all the games I've played, all the villains kind of have a selfish motive, or like it's either like, oh, I want world domination, or I want it, or like vengeance, or something along those lines. Like even in JoJo, Dio kind of just wants vengeance on the Joestar line. Diablo has selfish intentions, but like Kira's the one villain where he's like, he's bad because obviously what he's doing, killing women's a bit crazy, but he has selfish intentions as well, but he generally doesn't go out of his way to harm people. It's very much just like, I want to keep to myself. I just want to like have my hand fetish, and then like obviously he has to kill in order to like. It's a very different villain. It's not the first villain that doesn't want to conquer the world or like get vengeance. Exactly. He literally is just he just has his own selfish intentions. He just wants to like.
He wants to live a quiet life. That's it.
He just wants to live a quiet. He just wants to live a quiet life, and like Joestar's getting in the way. Like my brother's a big JoJo fan as well, and his like main issue with part 4 is how Jotaro and Koichi are too involved with it, which I can kind of see. Like I don't really understand why. Like I do get where Jotaro's there. I just wish Josuke was more of the main character, because he is my favorite Joestar. Like he gets.
It's crazy. And that was gonna be my next question. No, you're fine. But Josuke is my favorite too. But the crazy thing is that Josuke is the only Joestar that doesn't defeat his main villain. Jotaro defeats him, and I mean mainly Koichi is the main character in part 4. Like he gets the girl. Like he goes through the most stuff. Like Josuke does have his moments where he goes through stuff, but It's like Josuke, he's just there for the most part. Him and
And it
Okuyasu.
sucks because they have my favorite Joe romance going on. They have that's my favorite Joe star, like, and his stand is so underrated. Like his stand like heals others, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
just unfortunate because I love part four. It's like a comfort part for me. Like, you know what I mean? It's got just enough
exactly. Same.
like tragedy, but it's funny as well, and it's like the color scheme. People always have like issue with, I guess, part five onwards art style. Like they either love part five's and forwards art style, or like part three with like the buffness art style.
Yeah,
But I feel like part four was like a happy medium
it
where like
was. It was.
Josuke still looked like a teenager, but like he was sort of buff as well.
Yeah,
It's like
well,
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah,
Josuke looked more like a teenager compared to Jotaro. Like in
yeah.
part three, Jotaro was a grown man. Like all of them were grown. Like Kakyoin, I think Jotaro and Kakyoin were like 16 and 17, but they looked like they were in their mid-20s.
They looked like they were 30. Like I was looking at them, I was like, that's why I'm not gonna lie, part three is not one of my favorite parts. Like
it's
I'm
the
just looking
Dragon
at them
Ball
like,
Z of JoJo.
yeah, and that just doesn't appeal to. I think the one thing that appeals to me, but like JoJo's in general, it's not a typical shoujin. It's not typical like action, and just no substance to the story. Because like I
Yeah.
said multiple times, story and characters is like a big thing for me. Like if the story and characters is like boring or just too, like very like. I just call it like, you know, when people get coffee and it's just so milky, you might as well just say it's
Yeah.
milk with a side of coffee. When it's like that, I'm just like, that doesn't get to me. It's just like,
Nah,
So yeah, I just feel like I won't lie, Jotaro did get more likable as the series got on. Like, I do like part
exactly.
four Jotaro.
Yeah,
I do
that-
like parts.
No, I'm sorry for y'all. I just agree with you so
No,
much.
no.
Like part four, like when I started cosplaying, I mean, well, not when I started cosplaying. I always told myself when I wanted to do anime cosplays first, my first one was going to be Deku, and my second one was going to be Jotaro. And I love part four Jotaro so much because like he was way more developed. His outfit looked really, really good. And this right here goes back to what we were talking about with black cosplayers. The first time I had saw a black cosplayer do a JoJo cosplay, it was somebody doing part four Jotaro. And I just thought that this guy looked so awesome because it was the white and purple outfit, the aesthetics. Like, I don't know what it is about white and purple, but like on black people, like it just looks so good. And when I was looking at the comments, like people were joking him. And I was just like, yo, like this dude looks amazing. And like, that's just one of the hardships that, you know, black cosplayers go through. And, you know, now here we are, you know, several years later, and then I cosplay as Jotaro. And I want to say, like, I really haven't gotten that many racist comments as Jotaro, but I feel like the only time you're going to see a lot of racist comments is if whatever you post blows up. So there was one video I had posted on TikTok that got a lot of views, and like people were saying something about Jotaro being black, you know what I'm saying? Which always sucks, but you know, those people are dumb. And, you know, my interview with Chris Woe that y'all can check out, it is up here on YouTube. One of the things that he said is that if people can only talk about the character that you're cosplaying as skin color, but they're not giving the credit that, you know, the hard work that you put into the cosplay and the character that you're cosplaying, and those people are idiots, which I agree with. So final question before we wrap this thing up. And I love asking this question because everybody always has different answers. If you had your own stand in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure that hasn't appeared yet in the series, what would the stand's name be and what would the stand's ability be?
So I've kind of done my research here. I wish I was doing this kind of research for my uni work, but like I did my research. I was like, I know this question comes up, and I was thinking about it. Right now, I'm like really in love with Ice Spice. I think she's an icon. I think my stand would probably be like, I don't know, in my hood, and it would have the ability of, you know, Kirby, if you know, like play Nintendo, how
Yes,
Kirby can kind of
I love
absorb
Kirby. I went to the gym earlier and I had the Kirby shirt on. I purchased it today and it was hot. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it would be like Kirby. Like I'll take on any stand I absorb, And I think that's just cool because I don't know, I can't think of one idea that I like wanting to stand, but to copy other people's abilities would be pretty. That's what Kirby does, you know. He just sucks people up and becomes them, and that's iconic. Like, I want to be.
I like that a lot. Like it's pretty interesting. I'm just saying, like, as soon as you said that, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, it's just like, if you're fighting against a smart enemy and they're like, well, if you copy my Sans abilities, you get his strengths and you also get his weaknesses, and then like they think of something to beat you or something. But I love that ability, and I love that.
I didn't think of that, wrong, but that's very, very, very smart. Yeah.
Okay, so we're here at the end of the interview. I had a fun time talking with you, and I hope that everybody that watched the interview that they enjoyed it as well. So with that being said, let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
Okay, so I just want to say as well, first of all, not to drag out any longer, but thank you so much for interviewing me. I mentioned before that I first cosplayed around 2017. That was my first ever cosplay, and I then didn't do any other cosplays afterwards because of reasons. And then I started getting back into cosplaying just last year, and ever since it's just been like, obviously that I faced some downsides of cosplay, like the drama and stuff, but like I've made way many plus. There's been way more positives than negatives. Like I've not met actually, I've only seen you online, but like I've made so many cool friends, and like just the opportunity to have this interview, it's just, to me, I'm so grateful. So thank you so much for having me. And you can find me, I'm Violetblossomcos on pretty much everything, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Threads. I do not have Twitter. I deleted it because the app is just not for me. But yeah, I'm pretty much on any app. I'm Violetblossomcos, and I just want to do a quick little shout out. So like around, like I said, I only started cosplaying last year, but I've been going to conventions consistently since 2017, aside from when COVID came around. And I've always would go to cons with like my brother or like my friends from like uni and stuff, and they like games, but they just weren't into conventions, I guess. And like I can kind of get it, but for me, the biggest part of conventions was always the cosplays and the art. And I guess if you're not into those kind of things, it's not going to be interesting to you. But around last year, around October, I made like a good group of like cosplayer friends who have become my best friends. They're called the Crack Shack. There's too many of them to list, but they have like an Instagram handle which has all my friends there, and they're just the sweetest group of people I've ever met. They're like my best friends for life. And yeah, among some of them, we host JoJo Meets in the UK actually. Nice. So I'm one of the JoJo Meets hosts. So yeah, shout out to the JoJo Meet hosts, shout out to the Crack Shack. I love you guys so much. Just wanted to shout you out here. But I think it's important when you're getting into cosplay to like make friends who are in the same interests as you, and friends that, not just friends that just only call you to cosplay or stuff, but like friends who generally look out for you and like want the best for you, and you can have fun with them cosplaying and dressing up. Like even the person I'm doing who's doing Bruno with my back here on MegaCon on Sunday, they're part of the Crack Shack. That, like I said, their name's Miss Jo, so the absolute sweetest person in the world. So yeah, I just wanted to shout them out quickly and just put a little bit of, just no, it's cool.
More, it's cool. Hey, give all the shout outs. That's what we're here for. And yeah, again, thank you so much for your kind words. Everybody, make sure that you go and follow Violet on all of her social media accounts. Go and follow everybody that she just shouted out. You know where you can find me, your hero Benjamin Banks at KingBenji_Banks on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Like I always say, keep that pinky up, stay positive. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.